Oh,
Hi friends, welcome to this week's class of Dead Funny University. I am your host and fellow student Kelsey, and this week we are talking about my absolute favorite Marvel character, the Hulk. So Chris, I know you. So how are you planning on destroying my favorite character this evening?
just to think about all the times that Deadpool and the Hulk has tussled, I can go down that line because obviously Deadpool wins in those. Not necessarily wins, but no, actually, I am excited to go about the Hulk because I'm going to give you our normal baseline, and then I definitely want to take a little bit of your time to talk about the actual World War Hulk, which is easily one of the best comics ever written. One of the best comic book series ever written, and one of my all-time favorites. And I think it will actually blow your mind of how much of the comic was different than the movie, but actually at the same time how much of the comic and the characters were blended into the movie as well. So,
Oh my gosh, I'm genuinely excited about this. This sounds great.
Easily one of the best reads out there. Not if you're a Hulk fan and you've not watched or if you've not read Planet Hulk and World War Hulk because they go together, I strongly suggest you read those comics. Probably about, I think they're about like 5 issues a piece. I might be wrong, but really, really good read.
I have a note to go and buy those at the bottom
pick up the graphic novel
notes.
Point, I'm pretty sure. Just 2 big ass books, and then boom, there's. Oh god, it's so good. It is so good.
All right, so give me baseline knowledge so we can get into this.
She gets a week.
Oh wait,
of
you should probably start with a
vacation,
quiz.
Comes back and doesn't even know how to do her own show. Oh my god.
We could always just skip the quiz.
Man,
we know I know
that's
nothing.
So great. First comic book appearance, Kelsey.
Green and angry.
Oh man.
Green and angry.
Man.
Not a Muppet Story. Episode 1. Oh crap.
I don't know.
Why do I call them episodes? Number 1.
Comics. That would be my guess. That is so sad.
Probably.
I know normally I wait to give you the answers, but literally the name of the comic is Incredible Hulk issue 1. The one time where you could have actually done it.
Really?
All those other early episodes where you just kept Iron Man issue 1. This could have been your time to shine. Incredible Hulk issue 1 in May 1962 is when our big boy came out.
All right.
Question number 2. What is the name of Hulk's other identity?
Bruce Banner.
Correct.
Bruce Banner.
What
Yay!
was the inspiration for the Hulk? Now, this is talking about outside of the comic world. Like, what did the creators of the Hulk draw inspiration from? Because they drew inspiration from outside the comic book world, and they drew inspiration from inside the comic book world. I'll give you bonus points if you can guess the inside. But the outside, I think, is a little bit easier.
I'm going to guess, nuclear radiation and fear of radiation.
What does the Hulk kind of look like? If you had to kind of put him to something outside that, possibly been in films or anything like that, something that they would have drew.
A giant ape?
For Frankenstein, Jekyll and Hyde.
Okay, yeah, okay. I can see that.
All that. Yep.
Yep.
Take one guess at who you think, what character they possibly drew inspiration from in the comics. I'll give you a hint. It's a hero.
Within the comics?
It's not a villain.
I have no idea. Superman.
The Thing.
The Thing.
Who created the Hulk?
Okay. Stan Lee? Oh, hey, cool. I have no idea who the other one would be.
King Kirby. The man, the myth, the legend. Not the myth, actually. The legend. Him and Stan Lee both legends. Last question. What were the 2 key factors in creating the Hulk? So what I mean by that is, what were the 2 key factors that happened to create the actual Hulk in the comic? So one you already kind of said earlier, which was the gamma radiation. What would be the
gamma radiation?
That actually gave the Hulk personality. I don't know if you've seen the older Hulk movies, but they kind of pointed at it hardcore.
No.
But to kind of give Hulk his
Um,
personality. What do you think that other?
dissatisfaction at work?
And we will
Okay.
go into that a little bit later. All right, that's your five. I feel like I gave you most of those, besides two.
Yeah, I was going to say I
No.
did not do well.
I guess I might as well just go ahead and give you the answer because I think the answer to all the other
Okay.
ones. So gamma radiation, and then he
Uh-huh.
kind of had a split personality because his father was extremely
Oh.
abusive to him and actually tried to kill him. And in trying to kill him, his mother got in the way, and he actually killed his mother in cold blood right in front of him. Real
Oh,
piece of shit.
crap.
So that kind of spawned a split personality with all this pent up rage he had, and then whenever the gamma radiation hit, that's pretty much what gave the Hulk his personality. Was all that pent up rage.
Jeez. Yeah, that
Mm-hmm.
would do it. Good lord. Okay. So continue with this baseline
Baseline
knowledge. You're already
knowledge.
giving it to
So,
me, so just keep going.
cool fact is that the Hulk actually was not green. Whenever the Hulk originally came out, he was gray for his first 6 issues. And the reason he was gray was because they didn't want the color to represent any kind of ethnic at all, so they just chose to go with gray. And the funny part on how they
Hmm.
chose to stop going with
Mm-hmm.
gray was because it was hard for the colorer to actually continue to try to not only match the Hulk into the comic book pages, but not do it to a point where he basically disappeared into whatever the background just so happened to be. So if you actually were to go back and look at all those comic
Mm-hmm.
books and all those comic book panels, they're different shades of gray, and he had to keep constantly changing the shades in order for it to not mesh. So then they chose to go away with the gray and in with the green. What's also pretty cool is actually back in those comics, once again, I told you they drew it from monsters. He actually only turned into the Hulk at nighttime. The original transformation.
Okay. So they did kind of Jekyll
Mm-hmm.
and hide him a little bit. That's
And so
interesting.
so he got canceled after 6 issues, and then he came back with the Avengers as a founding member, and he was there for the first couple issues of that too. They kind of changed it to where instead of him like necessarily, basically he gets given an antidote that takes the Hulk power away from him, but he wants to have it back. But he wants to
Oh.
try to do it to where he can tame it to where he can harness both his mind and the Hulk. Because actually, back in the olden Hulk, he actually was not as savage as he was. So he actually could talk in full sentences and had Bruce Banner's mind, the Gray Hulk. Yep.
Wow. So he had
Mm-hmm.
the
Full
Brainiac's mind
strength.
and the like crazy
So
body. Oh my gosh, that
so they wanted to
that
try
would
to
be
find
super
a way
cool.
to bring that back together. So he tried using the gamma radiation on himself through this machine he built because he knew his body could obviously survive it, and it ended up causing to piss the Hulk off more than anything else, and the Hulk ended up going against the Avengers, which is how the first Avengers movie was making a funny little joke at with Loki saying that he was trying to get to the Hulk. As I told you plenty of times on other DFUs, that's actually how it happened. Was the Hulk actually ended up fighting the Avengers? And actually, the sad part is that that actually leads into him not only fighting the Avengers, but he also fought the Fantastic Four as well at the same time and was winning. If it wouldn't have been for his little buddy who gave him the stuff to knock him out and bring him back to Bruce Banner, they probably would have lost. So just to kind of touch on that a little bit, the original
Wow.
first Hulk, we'll kind of talk about his origin a little bit ish. It's obviously been revamped a couple times through movies and through comics. He notices that there is a teenager out on the nuclear explosion field and tells his scientist friend to not do the launch. That's how it all starts with this gamma bomb. He says, hold off on the launch so I can get him gone. Well, what he didn't know is that his buddy, the scientist, was actually a Russian spy and actually wanted Banner to die. So as soon as Banner got out there, he sent the missile, and the rest is history. Banner was able to somehow save this kid by pushing him into a ditch that somehow saved him from a radiation bomb when Banner was,
That's definitely
yeah,
how that works.
tornadoes,
Last time
radiation
I
bombs, they all
checked
fall into
and
the same category. Just jump in a ditch and you'll be fine. Yep.
hmm,
So pushed him into a
good
ditch,
to know.
and yeah, only he got hit with it. But that guy ends up becoming like one of his friends, which is that person I told you hit him with the antidote later. I can't remember his fucking name for some reason. It's like Richie or Richard or something like that. Anyways, not important. Who cares about him? We're talking about the Hulk. So Yeah, we don't care about him.
Yeah, we don't care.
Anyways, so later on, we have the stuff where like it's actually his friend, and he gets locked in the room, and it's gamma test going on, and like the other doctor is like his love interest, da 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 da, so on and so forth. Like it said, it's been revamped a couple times to where that's kind of like the new main story is that it was his or the other doctor was his love interest, who was also the daughter of the general of the army who was basically overseeing this whole project to begin with. His name,
Does she
her
have a
name
name?
is Betty
Oh, his name.
Ross, and his
Oh.
name is oh my god, I'm blanking on his fucking first name. Anyways, they call him Thunderbolt Ross. It was his nickname in the army, Thunderbolt Ross. But anyways, she ends up dying, and he thinks it's because she was tangling with him. So he's got like this personal vendetta to hunt down and kill the Hulk. And he spends a great majority of his life so infuriated with the Hulk and hating everything about him that some, and this has kind of been rewritten a couple times, but since we're going to talk about World War Hulk in here in a little bit anyway, they end up using these rays to subdue the Hulk at one point, and those rays actually siphon some of the gamma radiation
Hmm.
off of him, and somehow actually they end up accidentally shooting Mr. Thunderbolt Ross, turning him into the red Incredible Hulk. So the thing he's hated his entire life, he ends up becoming, and that ends up becoming one of Hulk's biggest nemesis, is the Red Hulk, also known as Thunderbolt Ross.
Wow.
Pretty interesting.
Okay.
Who hates the
Who
Hulk?
hates the Hulk
Which
because Betty
and he
Ross
thought, yep,
died and he thought it was
yep, because
cool,
she died
cool,
from
cool.
cancer, I believe. I'm pretty sure that's what it is, and so he thought it was because she chose to
Oh.
hang around him and his gamma irradiated self that she ended up getting cancer. But to be fair,
Okay.
at the
Got it.
same
I'm
time,
following.
this is also the same plot that happened to Mr. Manhattan in The Watchmen, so I could be mixing their stories a little bit as far as how she died. I could be telling you Dr. Manhattan's, but I'm pretty sure that's how Betty Ross died. Is cancer.
You don't want
No,
to like
no, we're
pause
just
and
gonna
double check.
roll
You
with it.
want to just
Yep,
roll with
they
this and
can
let the
tell me,
internet
hey,
tell us
dumbass,
we're
that's
wrong.
Watchmen. Anyways, so like it's been a while since I've read the comics. All right,
Oh God. Okay.
usually they don't have Deadpool at the title. I'm not reading them. Anyways, so not true. But anyways, so moving on. Um, so that kind of sums up like what really like kind of became the Hulk. Um, let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much his baseline, like his introduction into the comics. I guess one thing to also point out is that he did not last in the Avengers comic for too long, and then they kind of like just kind of wrote him off a little bit. Didn't really get rid of him or anything. Just kind of like wrote it off as like kind of like he was an ally, then turned into me, and then kind of like is doing what he's doing now. He comes back in the Tales of Astonish, and that's where he finally shines. Where they actually show it's more of a stress-induced rage that brings out the Hulk, and there was our boy. He was finally born because then they made him more savage, more beast like, primal, which is where he couldn't talk in full sentences. And it was like Banner is the brain, Hulk is the brawn. And when one is one, the other one doesn't exist. So, and that's where we got. It's actually kind of cool because way later on in the comics, you actually get the Hulk that that I talked about that you thought would be really cool, which is where he is kind of in the comics and where he actually was in the cartoons too, which is pretty cool. The latest Avengers cartoons that came out. I know cartoons are for kids, but I watch it, so it's great. Anyways, but it's actually pretty funny because on one of the cartoons, they actually made a joke about that comic where Iron Man is like, "Oh my God, I'm so frustrated with this problem," and Hulk is sitting there eating a bowl of cereal, and the Hulk's like, "What problem?" And then he's all like, "Oh, you wouldn't understand." And he's like, "It's just I'm having trouble." Da 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 da. And then Hulk gives him the answer to his problem. And he just stares at the Hulk, and Hulk goes, "You forget puny Banner brain inside Hulk head." Like he still can't talk in full sentences, but he still has Banner's knowledge, which is pretty great. And I was like, "That's fucking awesome."
Yeah. That is so cool.
So you actually end up
I love
getting
that.
that later on in the comics, where he actually can talk full sentences again, and he just basically Banner. It's just too much pain to go through to constantly keep changing. And then Banner goes, "The world needs Hulk more than it needs me," and so he decides to just become the Hulk, and then that's pretty much it after that. And because he chooses that, sooner or later they start to
Oh.
melding, and he continues to stay the Hulk, but Banner is a lot more there than he normally was. So
So Hulk kind of lets the okay. I don't know. Maybe I'm assuming too much about their relationship, but like lets the brain stay rather than just kind of like primally like
It
shoving
takes
him
time to
out.
get to that point, but yeah, we know
Okay.
that he's got the intelligence and not just the bronze, which is pretty interesting for sure.
Damn. That's such a hard idea to have Bruce Banner saying the world needs Hulk more
Yeah.
than they need me. That's oh, I don't
Well,
like
see,
that. I don't
I
like
think his
it.
main point was is that there's not because one of the main things that a lot of people need to remember about the Hulk that I think a lot of people forget, and especially seeing this stuff happen in the Avengers, is that the Hulk is one of the only people that is labeled an Omega class character. An Omega class character is title or is classified by having an endless amount of potential. Hulk's actual strength
Ooh,
has been
that's
tried to or
cool.
they have tried to measure it multiple times, and every single time that they've done it in the comics, they've always come back with the same thing that his power is absolute limitless because it strives off of him getting that.
So is that what's is that what's behind the whole
Mm-hmm.
strongest Avenger thing? Because the rest of them
Correct.
have limits on their power and he doesn't? Haha! Cool
So
beans.
yep,
Okay, keep
he
going.
is supposed to be like overall, like I mean, like I said, he has no limit to his powers. And there's stuff that the Hulk does that I think will blow your mind. Like one of them that blew my mind to find out whenever I first found it out a very long time ago, because I used to do these like superhero battles, and we did one with the Hulk versus Doomsday. Is the Hulk actually his body can adapt to certain situations. So he actually his body grows gills and he can breathe underwater if he's underwater long enough. It's
Holy
crazy.
crap!
It's absolutely crazy. So his body can just adapt to certain situations in order to make him just that much more.
Where's where does the comic like how does that explain that? Because gamma radiation isn't just
Right.
like, hey, you
So
can
I
like
think the first time
magically
it
have
happened
gills.
was on I or where he basically cuts himself off to this island because he keeps fucking breaking everything he touches, and he ends up getting in a fight with like this fucking. I mean, and it's actually known as one of the most beautiful drawn comics. Like they actually had an artist come in, like a hardcore artist come in and do like a lot of like the background work on it and stuff like that. And he gets in a fight with like this gigantic
Mm-hmm.
kraken, if you will, and he's kept underwater so long, and all of a sudden he just starts breathing underwater. And then they use it in a couple other comics too, where like he'll be hunting down fish for food, like gigantic fucking fish, and he'll just be underwater, just breathing and fucking just doing Hulk things, just being Hulk. It's pretty interesting.
Jeez. It sounds like the Hulk is powered
Yeah,
by anger, obviously, but also
to an extent, yeah.
desperation. Like desperation allows his body to
Mm-hmm.
go to new
And one of
levels.
the other things that's pretty cool about the Hulk
Oh, that's
too,
so
or pretty cool
cool.
about the comic books as well, is there's this one called is it Hulk the Gray, I think, or the Gray Hulk, something like that. It's a comic book series short, and it's actually about the original transformations of the Hulk, but through the eyes and concept of just Bruce Banner. So usually in the comics, when he turns into the Hulk, you're following the Hulk at that point. To where instead you're inside the mind of the
Mm-hmm.
Hulk, and Bruce Banner is just witnessing all this stuff happening and trying to understand what it is that's going on with his body, which is very fucking interesting and very fucking
Oh.
cool.
Yeah, especially if he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have control over his body at all, but he can like hear the Hulk's thoughts and stuff like that. That would be
Yep.
incredible.
Which is really really cool.
Oh man.
Um, So yeah, obviously to jump into my little fun tidbits I was talking about earlier with Deadpool, we had the first one where, like I said, he steals his healing factor, which was great. But the best one is the fact that it gets to a point where in Deadpool's universe, if you call it the Deadpool verse, where he wants to kill himself because he knows he can't die, and he actually goes batshit crazy over this later on in the comics, and it ends up turning into Deadpool kills the Marvel universe, where he just goes around killing everybody because he knows he's a comic book character, and he knows that everybody else is a comic book character, and he's all like, the only reason why you'll continue to live is due to popularity. So if you can't have any more comics, you don't become popular anymore. Therefore, you die and you're just gone. And that's his whole goal, is to kill the Marvel universe. Then he realizes that after multiple universes that he's been in, they keep spawning, and he goes, I have to go back to where comic books were born from classic literature, and then goes back and like kills Moby Dick and fucks up the whole entire book. Like got starts, yeah, it's like called Deadpool Illustrated and shit like that. Before that, he tries to just kill himself, and it's actually Professor X's fault, because Professor X catches Deadpool and then puts him in an insane asylum. And in an insane asylum is whenever he comes to this realization that it's not him he needs to kill, it's everybody else he needs to kill, so that way he can finally die. but he goes to, piss off the Hulk. And it was literally an entire comic of the Hulk killing Deadpool over and over and over again because Deadpool's doing everything he can to possibly piss off the Hulk. And it's not obviously working out. Well,
Uh-huh.
it's working out the way Deadpool wanted it to. He's just not staying dead. Basically, his whole point was if the Hulk beats me into literally nothing left, then I hopefully cannot regenerate from that. Well, he was wrong. He did. So
Okay, there's so many levels of dark there, but I think one of the really funny things is I feel like this came out of a board meeting where a bunch of the the creators of these different comics, the writers that are kind of giving us the storylines, are like, we have nothing to do with these guys. We don't want to do these guys anymore. We've got all these heroes and all these villains that we just don't even want to bother with. And some guys like, well, we can have
yeah.
Deadpool kill all of them. Like, he can just become aware he's a comic book character and kill everybody, and then we'll let the fans decide. And the whole boardroom is like, yeah, let's do that.
And well, the Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe is actually a lot darker than I'm actually letting you know.
Oh.
Because it's like
Oh,
hardcore,
okay.
like,
Never mind then.
drawn like where you would think it would be like more adultish to where like when Deadpool was going against the Hulk, it's really cartoony. Like for instance, one of the first comic book issues, the cover of it is literally like Deadpool holding like he's dressed as like a crossing guard and he's holding up a stop sign and the Hulk's fist is coming in to hit him in the face. Another one is like he's standing there doing the whole like 3, 2, 1 go with the pistol up in the air and he's not paying attention. He's just looking down at a stopwatch and the Hulk is behind him with both his hands about to like clap Deadpool into nothing and the gun is like sticking up one of like the Hulk's nostrils and there's just smoke coming out the other side. So yeah, it's like real cartoony to where like Deadpool kills the universe, our Marvel universe is like extremely fucking dark. Like I'm trying to think of
Oh,
what was the
okay.
most brutal murder that happened. The Spider-Man one was bad. It was really bad, but I don't think it was the worst. Oh, X-23 and Dakin, Wolverine's children. They have his healing factor, which you saw. Did you see Old Man Logan, or did you see Logan the movie? So X-23, the little girl.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she grows
I
up and
did.
becomes her own mutant, da 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 da, so on and so forth. Well, there's another one that's made off of Wolverine. It's actually like not his actual kid. It's kind of like made like X-23 was, and so Deadpool gets both of them, and he hooks them up to a machine that is monitored. Like first he kills them, and obviously they have to wait and regenerate. And as he kills them, he hooks them up to machines that literally are hooked up directly to their hearts. So the moment their hearts start to beat, it automatically turns on flamethrowers that just burns them alive until they die again.
That's that's dark.
And then
That's
Wolverine
intense and
shows up,
dark.
obviously fucking horrified at what he's seeing. And Deadpool has actually gotten 2 katanas
Yes.
made with metal that actually combats the healing factor. So that way he can finally kill Wolverine and be done with Wolverine and fights Wolverine to the death and kills Wolverine.
Does he
Nope.
then immediately
Nope,
kill
he
these
doesn't
children
leave.
that he's been torturing? To just do this
Over
burn
and
to
over.
death thing
Yep.
for all of eternity.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little dark. That's a little
And he actually
unnecessarily
killed every
dark.
single one
Good
of the
lord.
X-Men members in certain ways, kind of like that. Not obviously being able to keep them in torture because they can't live forever like those two can. But the entire time he has Professor X strapped down, watching all this happen on TV, to where it breaks his psyche, and then he just leaves Professor X like that, tied up, just constantly looking at the dead bodies of his
Super
his comrades.
dark.
Yep.
Why? Why does this have to be so dark?
Oh man.
Oh my god. This is so
Yeah, so
horrifying.
that's Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe.
I knew I was going to
I
leave
had
this
to.
episode
I
sad.
had to.
I knew that was going to happen.
You got it. Okay,
God.
so now to my favorite part, the part that I'm excited about, which is World War Hulk. God damn. So, it's kind of like the meeting. So basically you have what happened in the movie was more of like them doing this whole sending Hulk away as a like courtesy to him, because you even had Natasha like, "Hey big guy, sun's getting real low. I'll love you forever.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever come back, da da da," all that bullshit. It's not how it happens in the comics. Namor, who you know who that is now, Namor actually
Yes.
started the idea to send Hulk away because he said that he had a premonition of Hulk going to basically kill fucking everybody. Well, his premonition is true, but it's because Namor sent him the fuck away. So, but Namor knew it wasn't going to bother him because he's down in Atlantis. So he's like, oh, fucking Hulk's just going to kill everybody out there. So basically, there's this team called the Illuminati, which is made up of like most of the smartest minds of the Marvel universe. So you've got Iron Man, Reed
Okay.
Richards, Black Bolt, people like that. So they put Hulk in the ship and send him off to the planet, which you saw, Sakaar, where he lands and immediately becomes a slave and has to fight for his freedom. Who he does also meet the two lovely characters that we saw in the movie, the stone guy, Krong, and Meek, the little insect guy. Except in the comics, Meek is like this overgrown like black cockroach, and he's like a badass. To where in the movie they made him like this defenseless like larva coward kind of guy, which is funny because what a lot of people don't know is that's actually making fun of the Meek in the comics, which you're about to hear the whole Easter egg behind that. So in the comics,
Okay.
Hulk fights for their freedom, and instead of leaving, he becomes the new king, which is where it becomes Planet Hulk. Yes.
Oh.
So the first issue is called Planet Hulk. Is him breaking free and becoming the king. He starts this underground revolution with the two characters that I named and a couple other called the Warbound, and they end up taking over the planet. He then ends up falling in love with someone, and they end up having a baby as just Hulk, not Bruce Banner. He's Hulk this entire time. Yeah, she took a plowing from the Hulk. You gotta give it up to her. Can't remember her name. Anyways,
Oh, good
so
lord.
they end up.
She deserves a medal and you can't remember her name?
I can't. So she
Jeez.
ends up becoming pregnant, and like the Hulk is finally at peace for once. Like he is like this is life. Like he's finally for once at peace. And they end up finding the ship he crash landed there with. So they actually end up going and taking the ship and trying to build it into a monument to kind of like please him. Well, the old emperor ended up rigging it to blow, and here's where the funny part comes in: is that Meek finds that out, but chooses not to stop it. So in the comics, everything that's about to be set off just by this one choice, this one action, is because Meek is like this dark, evil cockroach, like fucking possibly villainous type character, which is a slap in the face of the comic book fans in the movie because he's this cowardice, like little purple fucking larva guy that wouldn't hurt a fucking fly, which is kind of funny. So, anyways, so it blows up. Not only basically almost destroys the entire planet. Somehow the original Warbound team lives, but also kills Hulk's wife before she's able to give birth to the kid too. So his wife and his kid die. But
Oh
what Hulk
no.
knows is that the ship that blew up was created by the Illuminati. And now he thinks that the Illuminati put a bomb on that ship and tried to send him out just to blow up and kill him to begin with, which is not what happened. So then Hulk grabs his buddies, and guess where they're going? Mm-hmm. So first they
Earth.
stop on the
Kill
moon
stuff.
to take on the
Okay.
Immortals, which is where Black Bolt reigns, which is one of the main members of the Illuminati. Kills his ass, and then it's on to Manhattan from there. Actually, he doesn't kill anybody. He beats them into submission and then puts those collars on them that doesn't let them use their powers like what he had on him in the gladiator thing, and then uses them as gladiators. He basically
Mm-hmm.
turns Earth into Scar. So then he lands on Earth and basically beats everybody into submission and shit like that. Uh, he started at the X-Men mansion and then made his way towards the Avengers, tore down Stark Tower, turned Madison Square Garden into a gladiator ring and shit like that until it finally comes down to where he gets into a fight with Sentry. I don't know if we've talked about Sentry yet or not, but Sentry is basically like
Mm-mm.
Superman for Marvel Comics, and Sentry uses up every last bit of his energy to subdue Hulk back into Banner. And basically, the way it happens is that he uses up all his energy and turns back into a normal man. That that it actually moves the Hulk to a point where he actually feels bad for him, and it ends up taking out the anger and turns him back to Banner. So he ends up finding his best friend, that little kid that I told you about that he saved from the fucking nuclear whatever. Anyways, like I told you, that becomes his buddy or whatever.
Yeah.
So later on, as soon as he gets down, like the friend kind of tries to talk to him. Meek sees a chance. Basically, the reason why Meek let that explode is because he wanted the Hulk to continue just destroying shit. Like he just wants the Hulk to just destroy shit. So then Meek then kills
Jeez.
that guy, his best friend, which immediately turns Banner right back into the Hulk. Immediately. And then Meek confesses that he had the chance to stop it, but chose not to. Oh
Does
yeah, for
the
sure.
Hulk
They
immediately just
for sure.
squish him
Well,
into a
it's black
purple
and purple.
smear?
It's
Okay.
black cockroach, not a purple whatever
Cool.
larva. The fuck that was.
I want him to be a smear. He's there's so much wrong with that. Screw
Then,
Meek.
but
Good
then Nick
lord. I'm
Fury
really angry.
and Shield obviously take the Hulk down with that laser shit that I was telling you about. Iron Man does that laser shit because basically what their fallback plan was, the laser shit didn't happen, was they were just gonna sink Manhattan into the negative zone, which is basically this prison where they hold like all the strongest enemies. It's like it's basically like a black hole that just rips it into there, and then like they're just stuck in there. They're just basically gonna sink Manhattan into that because that was like
They were just gonna leave all those like
they
mortals
were
and just be
evacuating.
like,
That's what Shield
guys,
was doing, was
you're.
evacuating while the superheroes were
Oh,
keeping occupied with
okay.
gladiator shit.
Okay, so
No,
there was nobody on
they were
Manhattan. They
basically
weren't
just
just
gonna get
like,
rid
screw
of
you
part of
guys.
fucking
Okay, that's better.
because they physically couldn't stop the Hulk. He had all of them like fucking locked up and shit, and was making them fight for his fucking amusement and stuff like that. And he told them that they had to fight to the death. Like he had all the Illuminati members against each other, but like as it was getting closer to the point where like they were just basically choosing not to fight each other. He's like, I'm not actually here to make you kill anybody, but you will understand what you did to me, basically. And I was like, God damn. So it's like one of those things where it's like one of the few moments where the Hulk got to actually be the Hulk and be just this fucking like the Lord Tyrant he could be if he wanted to, but you didn't feel bad for him. You know what I'm saying? Like you actually still felt
Yeah.
compassion with the Hulk the entire time. You're not like, dude, you're really fucking up right now. But goddamn, did they fuck you over? Like, oh man, and it still ends up getting fucked over Bruce Banner because whenever they finally get him back down to, or when they finally get him down to Bruce Banner, they end up locking him up like 3,000 feet underneath the earth or something in some fucking prison or some shit. I can't remember how far down it was, but yeah, he still gets into the big fuck out
Jeez.
of it, but he comes back later, obviously. But yeah, so that's how it happened in the comics versus how it happened in the movie. It's easily one of the best ones.
Wow. Both are really
Oh, for
cool.
sure.
Like those two storylines are really cool, but I feel like the one in the comic books would have been harder
Oh,
to
for
cram
sure.
into
It's
one
basically
movie.
two comic book like universes. But what's happened is that Universal has been basically the person who owns Hulk, which is why you have like the Hulk War fucking theme park ride and shit like that. Like when their lease is finally up and Disney gets to take the Hulk back, we'll finally get a good Hulk movie. But because it's been done so terrible every single time, and the fact that Marvel doesn't own the rights to Hulk, that they can only lease him through using him in multiple character videos, it was the best way to kind of do that was to
Hmm.
put what the fuck is going on with Thor and what the fuck is going on with Hulk during the Civil War into one movie, and then find a way to make it beneficial for both of them to leave.
That
So what actually happens
absolutely
in the
makes
Civil
sense. I
War
feel like that
for
was a really
Thor
good way
is
to do
Odin
that.
dies, which we saw at the end of Thor 3. Odin dies, and he has to go back and take care
Hmm.
of Asgard. That's what Thor is doing during the Civil War, which we kind of saw with him fighting with Hela and all that other shit, like Asgard's going to shit. That's what Thor was doing. He never actually went to Planet Hulk. That never happened. That was just for them to tie both those characters together in the MCU fashion, and then, we got the rest. Just like Hulk never showed up to Asgard to help out Thor at the end. That never happened. So, pretty cool take, though. I mean, it's a pretty cool take. I enjoyed the movie. Ragnarok was really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. But the
Oh,
comics, like,
yeah.
fuck. Oh my gosh, that was so good. Easily one of the best Hulk reads out there, just without a question. It's one of the best. Because, like, you just have this underdog. Like, it's like, man, dude. Like, I mean, it literally starts out with Hulk waking up. Like, the first issue does. It literally starts out with Hulk waking up and then the video playing for him about how you can't be trusted. We shipped you off. Da 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 da. You won't come back. You'll never see any of us again. All this shit like that. And you just immediately just have the feels for the Hulk. You're like, fuck, dude. And then now he's trapped on his planet and he's being forced to fucking fight and he's making friends with people that he's going to have to end up killing sooner or later if he wants to get his freedom, if he actually ever gets it. And then now you're feeling good for the Hulk. He's living on his own planet. He's got a wife. Da 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 da. Bam! Now everybody's fucking dead and all this other shit. And I was like, oh my god, it's so good. It is so good. Great read if you're a Hulk fan, for sure.
Oh,
Great read.
I'll read it, but I'm not necessarily sure it's gonna make me happy.
Like I said, stuff turns out better. Like I said, the Hulk chooses not to kill anybody, which is the best part. Even though he has the chance to do that, he chooses not to. So it's the redeeming.
So when he has he ever gone by anything other than Bruce Banner and the Hulk? Has he ever had any other like major identity, or has that just really been it? Okay, good, good. Now the I think I have a small like I was scrolling through channels when I was like 8, maybe not 8, but like and I remember seeing a battle in I think Manhattan, I'm going to guess Manhattan with the Hulk and then somebody who also looked like the Hulk but was a different color.
So what you're talking
Did
about,
was
yep,
one of the
I know
original
what you're talking
movies
about, Abomination. No, it
was
Abomination.
Thunderbolt?
Yep.
The Abomination.
So, and I think
Okay.
man.
And was that one of the
So
major Hulk
Abomination
enemies?
is in the comics. He is one of the major Hulk enemies for sure. He is definitely not Thunderbolt Ross, but I almost feel God. It's been so long since I've seen that movie. I almost feel that they actually turned Thunderbolt Ross into the Abomination in that movie. I could be wrong. I know Thunderbolt Ross is in the movie, but I can't remember if they turned him into it or not. I might be wrong about them turning into it, but I know he's in the movie for sure. But yeah.
So is in the comics is Thunderbolt Ross actually an enemy?
He's like literally hunting down the Hulk.
Okay,
like,
he
is
is.
his life purpose. That is his goal. Is Hulk die?
And does the Hulk
They
eventually beat him?
clash all the time and beat the fuck out of each other all the time, like constantly. So, but he doesn't necessarily go away. Like he's even done shit
Okay.
where, like the Red Hulk is kind of like a hero now or an anti-hero and defender. Yeah, it's comics. I mean, sooner or later everybody turns a leaf. You know, it happens.
Somebody recently described comics to me a little bit like soap operas, and I thought that might offend you, but might also be accurate.
Pretty accurate.
All right.
It's pretty.
You don't seem offended, so that's good.
It's fair. It's fair.
Okay, so what other major like enemies does the Hulk have by himself? He's got the Red Incredible Hulk. He's got
There's also
Abomination.
Mastermind.
Who else other than the
He's
Avengers
the
enemies?
leader. Fuck. There's so many characters that look alike and they have multiple names. I think it's just the leader. He's got like this gigantic fucking brain. He super fucking smart and he can do like telekinetic shit and stuff like that. So there's him, and then basically like Avengers bad guys because he's an Avenger. So.
Mm-hmm. And so it sounds like the Avengers are kind of like his the group that he signs up with. He doesn't really have. I imagine he may spend some time with some of the others, like the Fantastic Four or something like that. But or like X-Men. What am I saying?
X-Men is where he doesn't get along because him and Wolverine have always had issues. Always had issues. Like always. I don't
Why?
know. It's just been like one of those things where it's like fans want to always see like Deadpool versus Wolverine. That's another big one is Wolverine versus Hulk. And it's like they're basically because growing up, people looked at it as Marvel versus DC. But when you were a Marvel fan, it wasn't like you were a fan of all Marvel because then it was Avengers versus X-Men. What fan are you? Type deal. So that was always the big deal is like the X-Men have their Savage Beast, the Wolverine, and the Avengers have their Savage Beast, the Hulk. Who would win out of the two Savage Beasts against each other? Technically, Wolverine can't die, but also neither can Hulk. So who's going to subdue who? You know? Wolverine has these claws that can literally cut through fucking anything, but Hulk has this amazing fucking healing factor. It's perfect. Like, it was always back and forth. Oh, it's so good. They actually have an animated movie. I'll have to show you a clip after we're done with this, because Deadpool's in it, and it's fucking hilarious. He's so goddamn funny. Oh my gosh, it's so great. It's so great. Like he's literally sitting there talking shit about the Hulk, and like he puts a grenade in his mouth, and him and Wolverine take off running, and it blows up, and you just hear the Hulk like yell and like roar, and then like everything's quiet, and Deadpool's like, "I think we got him," and then Wolverine's like, "I wouldn't count it that lucky," and all of a sudden like you start to hear like footsteps stomping around, and then it's just like Hulk mad, Hulk rip off talking man's head, and Deadpool goes, "Who's he talking about?" And Wolverine goes, "I think he's talking about you." And he grabs Deadpool and throws him at the Hulk. And he's like, "Wait, Wolverine, no!" It's so good. So good.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I love it. But yeah, that's always been like one of the biggest things.
Oh man.
I love to see is Hulk versus Wolverine. So Yeah, so he does not mix well with the X-Men. That is for sure. There's no place for him on that side of the roster. That's for sure.
Okay, so he'll just hang out with the
The
Avengers and
latest
leave it
team that I
there.
would say that
Okay,
he's been
got
with,
it.
and I'm not sure if there's still an ongoing story with this, is that he ends up becoming like he gets She-Hulk, and because there's a She-Hulk, right? Yeah, that's the thing. No, okay, there is a female Hulk. Her name is She-Hulk, and she has nothing to do with the actual Hulk
Oh
at
God.
all.
Okay.
Like she has her own story. She's her own person.
Okay.
Wanted to make a female version of Hulk, which is pretty cool. Honestly, she's actually pretty badass. I can't remember what her actual name is, but there's She-Hulk, and then him and her go to their own planet
Good.
and make like a Hulk planet. Like they actually have a son called Scar. Yeah, like there's like yeah.
Yeah, I was waiting for the Hulk babies. Yeah. So he has multiple
Hey,
planets. Then he has
he's
Sakaar,
Hulk.
and then he
Hulk.
has another.
Like I said, he's got limitless power. I mean, he is literally a planet buster. He could destroy a planet by himself if he wanted to. He physically can do that. Which is actually pretty cool. One of his biggest feats that he's done and to this day is one of my favorites. I don't remember how they got themselves in this situation. I was going to fucking look it up before we did this because it's been so long since I read the comic. But basically, the Avengers get a mountain cut in half and dropped on them. Like they're all passed out and they got all placed there, and the mountain gets cut in half and it's getting dropped on them. And the Hulk wakes up, or Bruce Banner wakes up and transforms into the Hulk to enough time to catch the mountain. He physically catches a mountain and holds it up for hours. Literally hours. Which is one of the biggest strength feats that people like to always refer to whenever they're always talking about if Hulk would beat somebody. They're like, well, fucking Hulk held up a mountain. It wasn't actually a mountain. It was half a mountain. But yes.
For hours.
Which is funny. The reason why it's one of my favorite feats is like
wow.
One of my special, because I told you I buy any Deadpool comic even if he's just on it. And one of the covers is a chibi version, so it's all chibi heroes, and there's like a chibi Hulk, and he's holding up a mountain, and there's a chibi version of Deadpool, and he's jumping up and down on the top of the mountain. I fucking love it. It's so great. It's one of my favorite comic book covers to this day. He's just little chibi Deadpool's like, It's so fucking good.
Man, Deadpool is so your character. Oh man, that is amazing. So, okay, he can't die. He's an Omega class character, so he has limitless potential. His body adapts to certain situations. We know about like ridiculous strength and crazy healing factor. Is there anything else that the Hulk can do?
He can fucking leap and I think cover.
He's got stupid speed.
Run fast, but like he can leap and cover like thousands of miles within a single leap.
Jesus. Okay, so that scenes in Ragnarok where he's like leaping off of bridges and then going really far to kick the bad guy in the face is a fair thing.
Yep.
Okay.
The strength in his legs.
All right. And he can hold up a mountain forever. Good Lord. I mean, I guess if... Jeez. Okay, anything else you can think of?
I think that's about it.
He's also super smart when he's not trying to suppress Banner. Okay.
The only reason I know a lot of these feats is because, like I said, I did that fucking forever ago back when I used to have that website or whatever where I did superhero battles. Me and I had a team of people that worked with me, and we did fucking versus Doomsday, and oh god, it's such a good fight. It's such a good fight, but yeah, Doomsday took the L in that one. Hulk's just too fucking strong. He's the beast.
Oh man.
Limitless potential. It's just hard to get past.
Man,
so hard to get past that. The madder he gets, the stronger he gets.
Does he have any weaknesses outside of if he calms down, he turns into Banner, who's pretty killable?
He's been stabbed, shot, blown
up,
thrown in the atmosphere, or out of the atmosphere. Doesn't matter. He's the Hulk.
Actually, that is a good question. Is Banner killable, or when you try to kill Banner, do you just activate the Hulk? Okay.
He basically just kept doing shit all day to the Hulk him out to the point where he wanted to sleep. And then whenever he fell asleep, he started playing some shit that would just calm him down while he was asleep, and it turned him back to Banner, and then he pulled out his katana and decapitated him.
Wow, okay. That makes sense.
Sure die.
Got it. So he's obviously, his major quirk is that he's very, very, very angry, and he doesn't speak in full sentences typically. Does he have any other major quirks, like he's super into pancakes or just wants to
I
punch
mean, just
things?
the fact that, like, I mean, his and Thor's relationship is pretty much spot on in the movies, how is in the comics. Yeah, there's only one
Oh,
time where like he
cool.
kind of gets like caught up by, and this is actually an animated movie too. They actually did an animated movie out of this comic because it was so fucking good, where he gets caught by the Enchantress, which is an enemy of Thor, and she kind of like enchants like Thor to make Hulk is fucking going crazy, and enchants Hulk to make Thor is going crazy, and they start fighting. And then like Thor gets smacked out of it because the Hulk's just so goddamn strong. And that was like one of like the craziest scenes in the comics. It happened in the movie too, where like Hulk just grabs Thor, throws him into the ground, and then just holds him down with one hand and just beats him deeper into the fucking ground constantly. Probably hit him like 40 times. It was insane. Like, and Thor just can't do anything about it. He's just sitting there
Good
taking it, and it's
lord.
to the face too. It's not like he's punching him in the body. Like, it's to the face, and he's just
Oof.
getting the shit beat out of him. Like, it was nuts. And so that's an animated movie too. It was a good watch.
Whew. So I take it he
I mean,
won
they
that
both
one
went
then.
together at the end, and taking out Enchantress, and that's actually funny because
Mm-hmm.
Enchantress, her uh, partner, if you will, that helps her with all her mischievous deeds, is the Executioner, and we saw him in Ragnarok. That was the guy with the two automatic rifles. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
who that is. Which was funny because they made him be basically enchanted by Hela. Mm-hmm.
Hella.
That was
Yeah.
pretty cool. I told you why her name was Hela, right?
That is interesting.
Because in the comics you couldn't
No.
cuss. You had to put it out. Her actual name is Hel. But in the comics you can't. You can't. They would have to do the whole blurring it out every time they did her name. So that's why they named her Hela. She actually
Uh huh.
is like the actual Norse version of Hel. But in the comics back then you couldn't cuss because of the comic code. So you
Hmm.
had to turn it into like at symbol, hashtags, and all the other shit. Yep. And they didn't want to do that with her name every single time, so they called her Hela. Mm-hmm.
That is very interesting. I'm glad to know that. Hmm. I thought it might be based off of something, but I'm like, I guess I don't know my Norse mythology that well because
Exactly,
I
and
don't
that's what was
remember a
funny because I
Hela.
was talking
But
to like some friends that went with me to go see it, and I was like, "Oh wow, that's so crazy." And they're like, "Yeah, I just don't remember her in Norse mythology." I was like, "Well, it's Hel." Well, no, it's not because her name's Hela, and I was like, "Yeah, but it's Hel." And why did they add the A? And I was like, "Well, this is why they added it." And they're like, makes a lot of sense now. Which was interesting because they
makes a
made
lot of
Loki her
sense.
sister in the movie, or Loki her brother in the movie, and
Yeah.
Fenrir was her dog, her pet. When in reality, in Norse mythology, she's Loki's daughter, and Fenrir is her brother. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
for
that
sure,
feels a
obviously.
little weirder.
That feels weird, Kelsey says. Let's go back and watch Ragnarok. Let's point out all the things that could be considered weird, and we'll get to the fact that a dog and a woman are siblings.
No, a lot. Whenever we do in modern day retellings of, Olympus or the North mythology, whenever we get into some of these mythological things, because these relationships between a lot of these characters is ridiculously incestuous, and we go, ooh, we don't super like the incest. People just start like changing all of that to be like, and we're just going to kind of erase a lot of these little family tree lines and just like they burst out of nowhere. Move on. So I that's what I mean.
Fair enough.
That's what I'm talking
Fair
about.
enough. Just in case you didn't know, Hercules is also in the comics.
So
It's not just Norse. Hercules is
Hercules is in the
in the Marvel
comics?
comics. Actually, they actually made
I
a
did not know
funny
that.
spin-off
You're going to
of
have to
him,
teach me about Hercules.
and they actually, once they retired the Incredible Hulk series and he was only an Avenger, they actually made the next series was called the Incredible Hercules. Since we're talking about Hulk, it's pretty funny.
Hmm,
Yep, Hercules in the comics.
that is very interesting. So do you feel like the current MCU is actually portraying Hulk
I'd say so.
fairly?
I will say the
Okay.
current MCU, yes. The original three Hulk movies, or two Hulk movies, or however god awful many there
Mm-hmm.
were by Universal, were fucking trash. Mark Ruffalo is an amazing Bruce Banner. The Hulk is fantastic in the MCU. I like the Hulk a lot in the MCU. So,
Now, I remember hearing in some of our other classes we talked about, like, I believe it was Thanos who ended up having the Hulk as a dog at one
Yeah,
point,
I
which I
remember
think
Thanos
broke my
one.
heart.
Yep.
So, in and you're telling me Deadpool kills him at least once. So, currently, is he alive or
Currently,
dead?
he is dead in the comics. He died in the Civil War too. Yep, he
Currently
died in
dead.
Civil War too. I think they reduced him before they
Okay.
killed him. But I think either he's back or he's coming back. One or the other. He might be back already.
He
It's
gets
gonna.
kind of gets rebooted. He's one of the
Yeah,
characters that
there's
reboots
gonna
more
be like a
often.
Marvel celebration. Like most of the characters that are dead, they just bring back, and now they all have new fucking storylines. So it happens all the fucking time. Except for your
Oh my
unkillable
gosh.
characters like Deadpool. Oh, I guess I can't say that because technically Wolverine just recently died in the comics, so and he's been dead for a while. He actually went to hell, and they had a whole Wolverine goes to hell arc, and then that just ended. So and then Wolverine was just dead. So Wolverine could die. I guess Deadpool could die.
Man, I've learned a ton. What am I missing
I think that's
about
it.
Hulk?
It's not really too much.
I'm not as sad as I thought I was going to be. Are you sure you're not holding on to any
Not
dark
about the Hulk. I
secrets?
mean, Hulk's been pretty like out in the open. And the only like saddest part of his time is whenever he basically had that whole fucking island to himself because like no one wanted him around or anything like that. So, and that's because he was breaking everything.
That's so
And that was about it.
tragic. Yeah, that's kind of fair too. Okay, man. All right, then give me my
All
final
right.
quiz. Let's go
Final
there.
quiz. What color was the Hulk originally? How did the
Gray.
transformation work originally? Whenever he
Oh,
transformed to the Hulk. Oh, you know.
I have no
We
idea.
talked about this, but you forgot.
I
Nighttime.
clearly forgot. Oh, he like. Oh yes, nighttime. Only when he was
It had nothing
angry
to do
at
with anger.
night.
It was just nighttime. Yep.
Oh, it was every night. Oh, I don't think I realized
No.
that. I thought it was like a limiter, like he
Nope.
tried to turn during the day and
It was
couldn't.
during the Tale of
Okay,
Astonishment.
got
was
it.
the first time where they actually did the whole. It's because he gets angry is why he transforms to the Hulk, and then the Hulk was officially born.
Which okay, cool.
Who is the Hulk's number
Okay.
one nemesis?
Ooh, I'm gonna guess
Nope.
Abomination? Red Hulk. It is Red Hulk. Okay. I had a 50-50
Who
chance on that one.
banished the Hulk?
Which
No,
time? To the
well,
little
he was
island?
dead on his own. Who banished him
Yeah.
and sent him out into space in order to start the whole Planet Hulk?
Oh, yeah. I've got that in my notes. Hang on.
What do you know?
Name
What
more.
it's called? There you go. Boom.
The Illuminati? Yeah, I got
And then
one.
last question: what destroyed Sakaar?
That would be the bomb that the Grand Master basically put on the Hulk
Or
ship.
just overload the ship.
And
They told
me-
him that it just overloaded
What was that?
the ship. They overloaded the ship to explode. And he thought that the
Mhm.
Illuminati put a bomb on the ship and hid it from him in order to kill him, which is why he went back to the Illuminati to kill them.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah. So the ship. Yeah.
So I got
good
two.
for you. I-
I've never done that badly on an
I
ending
like
quiz,
how you
actually.
literally started with, I feel like I learned so much.
No, I did. That doesn't mean I learned what you asked questions about.
All these were in there.
Dude, I got like 3 pages of notes
I tried
over
to-
here.
I will say this. I for sure tried to overload you since it was your favorite character. I wanted to make sure you walked away with a lot of knowledge
Yeah,
on
well.
your favorite character.
I feel like I did. This is so interesting. And now I've drawn the connections with Jekyll and Hyde before,
Yeah.
but like I haven't had it like directly put in my head, and then knowing that who like Jack the King Kirby. You mentioned him like he
So
was
basically,
special. I don't
when
know
Stan Lee
anybody
first started
outside of
writing
Stan Lee.
comics, he was only allowed to write like the little end sign-off pieces. So it was like a little 2-page comic at the end of Captain America comics, because back then it was known as Timely Comics, not Marvel Comics, and it was ran by Jack Kirby. That was the creator of Captain America. And back then, our comic served for one purpose, which was to support our troops while they were fighting the Nazis and stuff. So while our troops were fighting the Nazis and, fighting shit like that, Captain America was also over there beating the fuck out of Hitler and everything else. So those of us at home were reading about it in the comics. Once the war stopped and everything else like that, times kind of fell hard and comics kind of went out of business. Him and Jack Kirby teamed up to create Marvel Comics. And thus, the rest is history.
So did comic book revenue actually go to supporting the war, or was it just kind of morale?
I could be wrong about that, though, but I think it was just morale.
Oh, that's so interesting. I never drew that connection. I assumed that connection, but I never actually realized that was intentional. It was intentional internal propaganda. Oh, how interesting.
Comics, whenever it first started. That was where we first started out. Timely Comics, Captain America. Yep. And then it became Marvel Comics. And then they went into serious debt and went bankrupt. And then they came back later. And that's the dynasty that we've seen now.
Wow. Why did they go bankrupt? Do you know?
People weren't buying comics, just the economy and everything else, all the shit that was going on. Just comics were not being bought, and that just so happened. So whenever they came back, one of their first steps was wanting to get into movies. So they started selling off properties to certain movies, and then we got horrible shit like the first 3 Spider-Men and the Incredible Hulk. But then, thank God, Disney stepped in, and we got what happened. Honestly, I'm really not even that big of a fan of the X-Men movies either. I thought they were pretty bad, but which is funny because I grew up as there was that divide in the Marvel universe. You were an Avengers fan or you were an X-Men fan. I grew up an Avengers fan, but my favorite character is Deadpool, who is definitely from the X-Men universe, which doesn't make any sense at all. But yeah, that's why Iron Man's my favorite hero, because I actually grew up an Avengers fan. If I grew up an X-Men fan, it might be somebody different. Probably would be somebody different, obviously.
Would it be Wolverine?
I had to pick a favorite X-Men off the top of my head.
No studying, just what first jerk response?
I liked Cyclops a lot. I don't know why, but I liked Cyclops a lot. When I was a kid, that was like my favorite X-Men, I guess I would say. But I think as an adult, it would probably be Wolverine. I don't want to go Wolverine because he's so fucking mainstream and everybody loves Wolverine, but it would probably be Wolverine. I don't think I can stop that from happening. I like Gambit, but not enough. I like Cyclops, but not enough. I like Colossus, but not enough. Oh, fuck. Yeah, it would probably have to be Wolverine. I'm not a Professor X fan. He's such a crybaby. I don't like Professor X at all. He's such a fucking crybaby. Angel's useless in my opinion. I'm not an Angel fan either. Psylocke, there we go. I'll just go with Psylocke. She's bae. Chick with a katana. She's awesome. She was in the Phoenix.
You're a sucker for a katana. You really are.
It's great.
Oh, man. Well, that will do it for our class on the Hulk. I'm actually not sad. I anticipated being very sad about the Hulk, and I'm not currently sad, which I'm very thankful for. So thank you for your restraint there, Chris. Please tune in again next week. You can do that by turning on the notifications, liking, subscribing, and turning on the notifications so you know when to come to class. Next week, we're doing a deep dive. It's called a study group. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking a lot about where we ended everything with Infinity War. I almost said Endgame, but I'm like, that's not right. Avengers Infinity War. And we're going to be making sure that we are up to date as much as we can be on all the knowledge with the Avengers MCU right before we head into Endgame. So please come back for that next Tuesday. And in the meantime, please come and interact with us in the comments below, on our Twitch links, or on our Twitters. But it's always fun to have you here, and have a great day. Bye, friends.